Welcome to the PCHL Weekly Show, where we look at the latest scores, highlights, standings, and stats from the Canadian Premier Hockey League and check in on the other top Canadian franchise hockey leagues. We started the week with a couple upset wins. Scott West had a goal and an assist in a Patriot 5-3 win over the St. Pats. That makes it 2 straight losses for the St. Pats, something they'll be looking to turn around as they chase down the Loyalists. And Rem Vandenvelde stole a win for the Mutants as he made 53 saves and gave up just 2, while Michael Arenga gave up 4 goals and made just 15 saves. The identified weakness in the preseason of Arenga came back to bite the Titans here. Our game of the week comes early this week as we check in on the league-leading Montreal Loyalists heading to Quebec City to take on the Glaciers. We jump into the game midway through the first period with some 4-on-4 action. Stekic dumps the puck on net, and then him and Jonius crash the net, and on the second attempt, Stekic puts it in to get the home team on the board. A couple minutes later, though, the Loyalists are pressing in the offensive zone. Holloway feeds the puck back to the point, and Joey Arsenault keeps his head up and finds Alexander Seguin at the back post for the easy tap-in to bring the league leaders back even. Midway through the second period, after the Loyalists ice the puck, the Glaciers win the draw. Phil Hogue puts the puck to the net, and the tired legs of the Loyalist defenders can't find the puck, and ultimately it's Tonar who slots the puck into the back of the net. Once again, the Loyalists respond just a couple minutes later. Holloway carries the puck across the Glacier blue line. After a quick passing play to open up some space, Mancini and Holloway come in on a short 2-on-1. A quick fake pass opens up a bit of space for Mancini. He finds it, and the game is once again tied. Still in the second, an aggressive forecheck by the Glacier leads to a turnover and a quick 3-on-1. Tonar has options and elects to find Jonius. It was the right choice as he's left with a wide open net and makes no mistake. Home fans got loud as they sensed their team had Verville's number that night. Verville would let in another weak one, and then the Glacier added an empty net to make it a 5-2 final. A big upset win made all the more sweet by being a rivalry match. The local media picked all Glacier stars, with Michael Renaud and his 2 assists first star of the night. Tonar the second star, and David Brandon, the empty net scorer, the third star. In other Sunday night action, Martin Knebel made 24 saves to get the shutout, and Grady Almond had 2 goals as the Toronto Royals beat the visiting Calgary Outlaws. And in Winnipeg, the Falcons won the special teams battle, going 3-for-4 on the man advantage and 2-for-2 on the penalty kill, allowing them to skate to a 5-3 win over the Patriots. The win ended a 5-game losing streak for the Falcons. We started the week with 4 games on Monday. Arenga redeemed himself as he made 24 saves against the Calgary Outlaws to help the Titans to a 3-1 win on home ice. Miles Paul was the first star of the night with a goal and an assist. The St. Pats ended their losing streak at 2 with a 5-3 win over the Tigers. Each team scored 3 goals in the second, but it was the St. Pats getting one in both the first and third period to secure the 3 points and get back on track. In Edmonton, it was one of the wildest games in CPHL history as the Black Barons and Steelhawks met what was ultimately an 8-3 final for the Black Barons. The Steelhawks went 0-for-9 on the power play. Yes, you heard me correct, 0-for-9 on the power play, while the Black Barons went 5-for-8. Again, yes, you heard me correctly, 5-for-8 on the power play. The teams combined for 34 penalty minutes, with nothing more than a minor penalty called. The teams also put up a combined 90 shots on goal. Julien Potvin had a night to remember as he scored a hat-trick and added 2 assists in the win. Austin Muth also had a 5-point night with 2 goals and 3 assists, and Brad Carey had 4 assists and 10 shots on goal. Robin Jansen was the Black Barons' best penalty killer as he made 40 saves on the night. Speaking to the media after the game, when asked about putting up 8 goals on the board, Carey was quoted as saying, "Maybe you should be asking their D why they could not cover us better." Is this the start of a new rivalry? And to wrap up Monday, the Halifax Privateers scored 2 goals 52 seconds apart, the first one coming shorthanded, to break open a tight scoreless contest in the third period against the Royals. The Royals got one late, but it was too little, too late as the Privateers left Toronto with the 3 points. It was a busy Tuesday night of action in the CPHL. The Black Barons had a slightly less exciting game, but only slightly as they went 1-for-7 on the power play, and the visiting Patriots went 1-for-4. Donovan Toué led the way with a goal and 2 assists, while Brad Carey added 1 goal and 1 assist, and had another 10 shots on goal. In the end, it was another win for the Black Barons, this time by a score of 6-3. Continuing their road trip into Montreal, William McDuff led the way for the Halifax Privateers once more, scoring twice as they upset the league-leading Montreal Loyalists despite the Loyalists outshooting them 37-25. Trevor Myers got the start and goal for the Loyalists over Verville, who had been struggling recently, but I suspect this performance may mean he gets even less playing time now. In Hamilton, Christopher Stekic's second period goal held up as the winner as the Glaciers beat the Steelhawks, with both Shure and Goodpipe excellent in net. In Ottawa, the Dominion beat back the visiting Brampton Blazers 3-1 and made an exciting announcement that Tony Kosman signed a 2-year, $17.7 million extension to remain with the Dominion. The 24-year-old is leading the team in goals, assists, points, plus-minus, and penalty minutes. General Manager Daryl Carey talked about wanting a longer-term deal, but said keeping Kosman in Ottawa was more important than risking him leaving by pushing for a long-term contract. On the ice, the Dominion were the better team in all facets of the game, with William Ledmark leading the way with 2 goals and an assist. Pavel Paquin had a goal and 2 assists and was +3 in a Vancouver Seawolves 5-2 win over the Mutants. That ended the Mutants' 4-game winning streak that helped them climb out of the basement. And finally, Tyler Smith only had to make 20 saves to get the shutout as the Winnipeg Falcons went to Toronto and beat the St. Pats 3-0. It was then a quiet Wednesday night with just 1 game on the schedule. The Ottawa Dominion got out to a 2-0 lead early in the first. The Brampton Blazers tied it up at the end of the period and then scored 2 more to make it a 4-2 win for the visitors. The Blazers ended the night with 40 shots as they peppered Sear. It was Daniel Voss with a goal and 2 assists who earned first star honors for the Blazers. Moving into Thursday, the Winnipeg Falcons won a goalie battle as Tyler Smith had another good night, making 35 saves in the win. On the other side, Shure made 32 saves on 34 shots, but still earned the loss. In Surrey, it was another great goalie performance as Kavicki made 41 saves on 42 shots, allowing the Tigers to pick up a 3-1 win over the visiting Titans, despite getting outplayed in every position except goaltender. Calgary Outlaws had a 4-goal second period that led them to a 5-2 win over the Toronto Royals. We will add Griffin Spruce to our good goaltender performances on the night as he made 31 saves in the win. But the best goaltender performance of the night belongs to Adrian Bolonchuk, who made 40 saves to get the shutout as the Mutants got a 3-0 win over the Seawolves. After Vandenbeld's stretch of great performances, Bolonchuk probably feared losing playing time, and he made a case to at least share the crease with Vandenbeld once more with the shutout. And to finish up this week, Friday night saw 5 games. The Patriots got an important win over the Steelhawks in 2 teams battling to avoid relegation. After a tight first period where both teams had 12 shots, the Patriots dominated in the last 2 periods and ended the game outshooting the Steelhawks 41-26. Eric Dick had a goal and an assist for the Patriots, in addition to a great defensive game for the defenseman. The formerly league-leading Loyalists made it 4 consecutive losses when they fell 5-1 to the Toronto Royals. Defenseman Yanni Perel had 2 assists and was +4 for the Royals. It's not often that Verville gets outmatched in net, but Martin Campbell had a great performance as he made 35 saves in the win. The Ottawa Dominion got a second consecutive Friday night 5-2 win over the Falcons, this time on the road. With this win, they moved equal on points with the Falcons. While it was 2-2 after the second period, Ottawa dominated the final frame, outshooting the Falcons 23-6. The Halifax Privateers continued their surge, winning their 5th in a row, thanks in large part to their second line, which combined for 9 points across 4 goals. Rob Gahan led the way with a goal and 3 assists. The Mutants will still be happy with how the month ended, as they were 6-3 in their last 9 games. And in our final game of the week, the Titans traveled to Vancouver and took home a 2-1 win. The game got off to a flying start with Miles Paul opening the scoring just 8 seconds into the first period. But the lead was short-lived, as the Seawolves responded just 28 seconds after that, with Peter Mrakic tying the game up after 36 seconds of play. After that, the fans had to wait until the third for another goal, as David Salvato got the winner on the power play for the Titans. The hero of the night was Renga, as he made 40 saves in the win. The Titans got the win despite only getting 12 shots on goal in the game. That brings us to the end of another exciting week of action, so let's check in on the standings. The top 2 teams from the past few weeks are still on top. This time it's the St. Pats who hold a 1-point lead over the struggling Loyalists. However, the biggest change is the gap between those teams and those in the second rung. The Privateers, Black Barons, Titans, and Royals are all within 2 wins of the Loyalists. The Black Barons are particularly threatening with the game in hand on the leaders. The biggest movers of the week were the Halifax Privateers, who are in the midst of a 5-game winning streak. At the other end, with 3 straight losses, the Hamilton Steelhawks have fallen into relegation position once again. tied with the Blazers on 30 points, but the Blazers have 2 games in hand. At the midway point of the season, the eligible journalists who vote for the CPHL awards were polled to see who they would pick as the award winners thus far. MVP Tony Kosman was the leading vote getter. As mentioned, this comes off a 2-year contract extension signed earlier this week. The 24-year-old is averaging a point and a half per game with 36 points in 27 games and is a +9. To put just how impressive that is in context, last year's MVP, Wade Tabor of the Titans, who was third in vote getting at this point, has 22 points in 27 games. Second in voting was the Edmonton Black Barons' Brad Carey, who is averaging over a point a game as a defenseman and leading the charge as they climb up the standings. Surprisingly, nobody from the top 2 teams made the top 5 in mid-season MVP voting. The top goalie award this season is coming down to a 2-horse race, but Gabriel Verville of the Montreal Loyalists was the near unanimous choice. His .936 save percentage and 1.8 goals against average have put him on pace for a historic season. It has led to 15 goals saved above average, which helps explain why they have 13 less goals against than the team with the 3rd lowest goals against. In second place in that category, with just 4 more goals given up, are the Vancouver Seawolves, and their starter Jonathan Gustafsson, who was the only other goaltender to get first place votes. He actually has a slightly better save percentage at .938, and only a slightly worse 1.86 goals against average. The stats make it hard to separate these two, but no doubt being the team in second place helped put Verville over the edge. Helping Verville out is the top defenseman leader Marc-Antoine Savard. Through 18 games played, he is an astounding +22. He's giving up just 0.6 goals per 60 minutes of ice time. That's a third of the goals against average of Verville. Advanced analytics give him 7.8 point share, with 6.8 of that coming from his defensive performance. That means of the Loyalists' 52 points on the season, 7.8 of them come from the performance of Savard. Based on this statistic, without him, the Loyalists would drop from second in the standings down to 6th. The runner-up in voting was his partner, Jordan Dussault, showing just how good they've been this season. And finally, not a voting award, but let's check in on the race for top scorer. While Kosman is leading the league in points, is the Halifax Privateers' William McDuff leading in terms of goals. He has 17 goals in 28 games so far this season, meaning he's averaging .61 goals per game. His 7-game goal streak to end October put him in the driver's seat here, so if he can regain that pace, he's got a chance to hold on to the end of the season. Just behind him right now is Jean-Sébastien Ledoux from the Mississauga Mutants and Julien Potvin of the Edmonton Black Barons, both on 16 goals. That wraps up another week of action in the CPHL. Tune in next week for another exciting week of action, highlighted by the return of the rivalry between the Toronto Royals and Toronto Titans, who not only have a whole lot of history, they'll enter the week tied on 46 points and 4th place in the standings. Will the Loyalists and St. Pat's be able to turn things around to stay on top, or will we get a new leader next week? Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.